Hello, and welcome to a more well-rested host for this second take of my original video, You Took an Oath. I didn't sleep much, and that morning when I took it, and honestly, a lot of things I want to rework on the video, especially showing you the oath at the beginning of the video that all our government officials take, whether that be police officers, Congress, the military, all those people that have swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. So we're talking, and I'm also using a different camera because my phone stinks. All right, so I'm talking about the oath and what's going on in our country right now. That we have a rogue president who isn't really acting much like a president and is instead acting like a dictator. And this has nothing to do with being a Republican or being a Democrat. It has to do with being an American and standing up for the rule of law. And one man should not be able to centralize so much power into the executive branch. And we have what's going on in California, and it's going to happen all over the country. And let me first state, which I didn't make clear in the last video, I support removing dangerous illegal immigrants from the country. All right? There are plenty out there that need to go. And there's a proper way and an improper way to do it. But what we witnessed this past week in Los Angeles shows you the improper way to do it. Storming into restaurants, schools, places of business, and terrorizing people and just rounding people up. And there's no due process at all. There's no, even when it comes to illegal immigrants, they have the right to have due process, meaning that you don't just go en masse, like acting like a group of thugs, just rounding people up. And again, I support rounding up dangerous illegal immigrants. But a lot of the people that are being rounded up, they're not even illegal immigrants. They're legal immigrants. Or they were until Donald Trump decided they weren't. And again, because we are now living in a dictatorship, get that through everybody's head, because unfortunately, America as we know it is basically on its last legs. We're now living in a dictatorship. We have one man and his posse around him that are just deciding who goes and who stays. And especially if you're somebody of color and you're an immigrant, it doesn't matter if you're legal or illegal. And look, I'm against illegal immigration. But when you're rounding up legal immigrants and deciding all of a sudden that they're not legal anymore, we're going to revoke them like that. You have immigrants showing up for court hearings because they're legal and they have to check in for their court hearings, and they're just being deported right on the spot, taken away from their families and everybody. That's the kind of stuff I'm against. I support going in and finding dangerous, criminal, illegal immigrants, people that are dangerous to the country, and getting them out. But punishing people who are trying to do things the right way is so un-American. And then you have what's going on with the students. We have students being deported too, if you haven't noticed. And again, you took an oath. All these people are just following orders. They're following orders. Trump ordered them to do it, and they're listening to Trump instead of the Constitution. Doesn't matter if it's Congress, doesn't matter if it's the police, ICE, the National Guard, the Marines, the military. They're all just taking orders from Trump, even though they're illegal orders. And again, when you joined those things, you took an oath. And now, people are starting to fear you. I'm starting to fear the police. I'm starting to fear the National Guard. I'm starting to fear the military. Because what happens when they decide, well, you can't, well, now We got rid of all the illegals. Now we got rid of all the immigrants. All right, because they're not just getting rid of illegals. All right. Now we're going to go after the disabled. We're going to get them out of the country too. What happens to that? What happens when we start rounding up people that are just speaking out? What happens when we start doing that? And meanwhile, Congress just sits there and does nothing about it. And this isn't, oh, well, Trump's a Republican, we got to protect. This is about the fact that Trump is violating the United States Constitution. First of all of you validated the results of the election in 2024. When Trump, because Trump led an insurrection that made him ineligible to be the president of the United States. But each and every one of you in Congress decided to accept the results of the election and not challenge it. Say, you know what, this is not a legitimate president. He's not even legitimately supposed to be president. But again, they all just went along with it. And this is what's going on right now. Everybody's just going along with it. And it's very disturbing and very upsetting. I always support law and order, but the problem is that Trump and his team are using the phrase law and order as an excuse to violate people's rights. I saw the videos. They speak for themselves. People just being rounded up by a group of thugs. And when people ask what's going on, there's a video where one of them just pulls out a gun on somebody. And some of these people, they're not even wearing uniforms. They got masks on, covering their faces. I mean, that is not the way you conduct government business. They're not acting like ICE. They're acting like Gestapo. That's what we have in this country now, a Gestapo. And like I said, I support deporting dangerous people from this country. People who are a threat to others. And there are plenty of illegals out there that are a threat to others. And they need to go. And I support that. All right. But I don't support just going in to places of business and terrorizing innocent people. A lot of these people are legal immigrants. People post lies in the comments on my previous video, which is why I'm reworking this video, because I think some people misunderstood what I said in that video. Because again, I was on like no sleep that night. They misunderstood it. You're going in and these people are legal residents. And then all of a sudden Trump decides they're not legal residents. He revokes their asylum claims because they were granted under Joe Biden, so when he was president. Yeah, that's the scary thing about it. Trump can unilaterally just do all this stuff. He doesn't even wait for Congress. He wants to eliminate FEMA too, by the way. So our government is being turned into a dictatorship. Trump is controlling everything. And nobody seems to be fighting it. We do have protests. And the majority of them have been peaceful. But there have been times when, again, we see what happened in LA. Again, how Trump decided to have the National Guard come in and then send in the Marines for protesters. And what it did is it caused people, it raised the tensions up. And then you throw a couple of agitators in there, and now you have some violence. But this violence never would have happened if they didn't storm into LA like the way they did. And I'm worried it's going to happen in all our cities, all across the country. Meanwhile, Congress just sits by. Mike Johnson just sits by and he doesn't care. He's a tool of Trump. And the Democrats, I mean, they're not doing anything, man. They're not fighting this. Because you look at the same rich autocrats, the same oligarchs that contributed to Donald Trump's success, also contribute to the Democrats too. A look at what's going on in the primary in New Jersey. Mikey Sherrill, preppy Mikey, she don't represent. She's a darling of Wall Street, and somehow she gets chosen. because she had tons of ads. She had the money fast. She bought that election. And that's what our country's turned into. Those who have the money control the government. It's been heading that way for a while, and now this is the culmination of it. A full-on dictatorship. That is for the rich. Completely for the rich. Trump will decimate all our services, and the rich will live in their own little world while the rest of us are treated like crap or have our freedoms taken away. All right? Trump doesn't care about that. Him and his whole family are just evil, disgusting parasites. And they conned the whole country. I mean, to me it was pretty obvious, but again, people in America, they're not very smart apparently. When you have people that talk like, yes, I won the primary in New Jersey. Can't even imitate the way she talks. That way of talking, all the Americans want to talk like that now. It shows how dumb we are, man, compared to the rest of the world. I don't know what else to think at this point. I love America, but man, have we fallen from what was once a great country to this pathetic situation that we're in today. It's pretty sad. I'm really worried that we're going to see the United States become a very violent, divided place. And the other thing I want to make clear, look, one of the other subjects I just want to rework in the other video was that I said, how are we going to end this? How are we going to stop Donald Trump? The best way to stop this is to have Congress honor their oath and impeach and remove and convict Donald Trump. That's what they should be doing. That's their duty to do. Never should have allowed him to be there in the first place. But it's not too late for them to act and impeach him. There are a few people out there, but I mean, why aren't Democrats just getting together and saying, we need to impeach him? But they're not doing that. You have a few here and there, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it. But again, what about that oath? Oh, they don't care about the oath. They took an oath, all right, to protect the rich and the super rich. That's the oath they really took. And then we come to our police officers and our military who are supposed to protect and serve. But how are you protecting and serving when you're attacking innocent civilians? When you're arresting people just because they're speaking out? That is going on. There's plenty of video of it. Plenty of proof out there. Plenty of proof. Plenty of proof. Our country is in very, very big trouble right now. And I want to see this end in a lawful manner. But as I mentioned in the other video, unfortunately, when you've reached this point, sometimes, and it's not an option that I support at all, but sometimes there may be violence involved. We may be in some type of civil war. All right? Don't support it. I'm against it. It's a horrible idea. All right? But unfortunately, sometimes action needs to be taken to save the country. When this is why the right to bear arms is in the Constitution. Because what happens when Congress, the courts, and even law enforcement fail to enforce the law? Who is going to enforce the law? Who is going to protect the Constitution? Then it becomes the citizens. But honestly, from what I've seen so far, I don't really have much hope that we're going to do anything about it. We have these protests here and there, but it's going to take a lot more than that to force Congress to act. Because again, they're beholden to the rich. All of them. There are very few out there, very few that aren't. It doesn't matter what party it is. Republican, Democrat, they're all corrupt. If there's anything we've seen, they're all corrupt. But still, I feel the Democrats are a better choice because at least they're not trying to become dictators. All right, whereas MAGA is. I love my freedoms. All right, I don't want to see somebody come in and tell my state what to do. I don't want to see somebody come in and send the National Guard and have military marching down the streets of our state and our city. That's where we're heading. Martial law. That is where we're heading. This is what Donald Trump wants. This is what he wants. And we're giving it to him. We're letting him do it. The military, even the media, they're all going along with it. People say, oh, but the protests are violent. The media loves to show the violence over and over again. Meanwhile, 95% of the protests are peaceful. But they want to show that 5% that are violent just to prove Trump's point, because Trump controls the media too. He controls everything. Everything. And it's not enough. He wants to control completely everything. And it's very disturbing, and I'm very scared for what's going to be happening in this country. I can't imagine leaving the United States. The Pine Barrens are here. Everything I love is here. I mean, that's what I feel about Long Island, but this country as a whole. But if we go on full-on dictatorship, then I have to think about fleeing the country. And I don't know where to go. Canada would obviously be my first choice. But Canada has a very strict policy on the kind of people that they'll let into the country, obviously. And right now they're not granting any asylum to any people from the United States trying to flee Donald Trump. And again, I'll say it again, I don't support any kind of violence. I want peaceful protests. I want Congress to act and do their freaking job and impeach and remove Donald Trump. You all took an oath of office. Why aren't you honoring that oath? This isn't about your party. This is about the Constitution, the rule of law, and the dignity and sovereignty of this country and the states that are all part of it. But you're not doing that. You're not doing that. What are we supposed to do now? You're failing us. All of you. There are a few out there who've done some things, but it's not enough, man. It's like me getting on the bus and saying, here's the fare. Here's a penny for the fare. That's what's me like. That's all you're doing. That's all you're putting into it, is a freaking penny. It's not enough. Are you going to stand up and fight, or are you going to just be spineless cowards? I don't understand why we're not protecting this country right now. We have a dictator. Hasn't history taught you anything? Look at 1930s Germany, because that's where we're heading. They're going across on the streets and just rounding people up, unmarked vans, masked thugs, rounding people up. There's no due process. And again, I support rounding up dangerous illegal immigrants. If you're in this country illegally and you've committed a crime, you need to go. I mean, I watched the News 12 today, and they're saying, we're only taking care of the dangerous, the criminal illegals. Yet I hear about legal citizens. I hear about kids that were born here being rounded up. That's not law enforcement. That's 1930s Germany is what that is. But again, nobody's really doing anything. You got people like, thank you, New Jersey, for voting for me. You have people like Mikey Sherrill that were expected to fight. You gotta be freaking kidding me, man. This country has just fallen. It's such a joke. All right, this is the same country that went to the moon. Really? We're the same country that went to the moon? Hard to believe, right? And now we're just a bunch of clueless airheads. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I'm not saying we're all that. like that, but they're just, it seems like everywhere you look, it's just the dumbing down and shitification of the United States continues. I think that's what we're seeing is all, this is what it's all culminated in. It's been brewing for a while, and now we're reaching the end, right? We're not all like this, though. I still want to believe that there's enough people that aren't complete airheads that can fix this and take our country back from this. This isn't about, again, I have friends who are Republicans, I have friends who are Democrats. This isn't about party at this point, because I think both parties have failed us completely. This is about the United States of America. And if we are to take back our country, remove Donald Trump from power, we've got to make sure that our system is fixed once and for all. No more big donors for campaigns, no. I think that needs to be regulations put in place that make sure every candidate gets the same amount of money to work with, no matter who they're affiliated with. But right now, Wall Street just controls everything. And that's just, again, the culmination of, this is all the culmination of it all. And whether you're an immigrant, legal immigrant, whether you're disabled, person of color, citizen, doesn't even matter if you're a citizen. They'll probably try, they just want to cleanse the whole country, making sure only their own kind gets to live here, and the rest of us get forced out. Sound familiar? I love the United States of America. And I hate the way it's being desecrated right now. Please, I'll say it again, you took an oath. Congress, you took an oath. Do your damn job and remove this tyrant from power. For our law enforcement, you took an oath to serve and protect. And you should be serving and protecting the public, not Donald Trump. And the same thing goes for the military. Trump orders you to go to these military commanders, whatever. Trump orders you to go and invade a city to stop protests. Just refuse the orders. Again, everybody just goes along with what Donald Trump is saying. Trump is ordering parks to lay off. He's laying off this. He wants to get rid of FEMA. And people just leave the building. Don't leave. Resist Donald Trump. How hard is it to resist this? Nobody is resisting. Everybody is just going along with it. Because all they care about is making money. That's what this country has come to. Such a greedy, selfish country we've become. What a shame. What a crying shame things have happened in this country. Really is. I'll try one more time to get it through people's heads. I'm disgusted. I really am. But I'm hoping somehow, we can wake up from this nightmare and get our country back on the right track. Doesn't matter if the president is a Republican or the president is a Democrat. It matters that they care and respect about the Constitution and do things in a lawful manner. Not by executive order, but doing things the right way, presenting things to Congress and having Congress pass it. That's the way things go in this country. You want to make a change, you can't just go ahead and cut things without permission from Congress. The problem is Congress ceded all their power because Congress are full of cowards. What a shame, huh? Again, you all took an oath, but I guess oaths mean nothing now. They took an oath to money. That's what they took an oath to. It's not about the Constitution anymore. It's all about money, power, and greed. How far we have fallen here in the United States of America. God help us. That's it.